Hello everybody, this is Havoc, back with another beginner's guide on Economics 101 and Europa Universalis 5. Today we'll be looking at your raw goods within your own country and how to utilize them with your buildings and production methods. A reminder, with this series, I'm just providing a solid understanding of these concepts for people who may have never played these types of grand strategy games. As always, your support is welcome via likes and comments, and with timestamps below, let's get started with what are RGOs? If you head over to the Production tab, then over to the second tab called Goods, it'll bring up the Build RGO filter. RGO simply means Resource Gathering Operation, and it is quite literally that, a building in a more abstract manner that supplies you with a raw good created from mines, farms, gathering operations, forestry, or hunting grounds. Every location within your kingdom has some form of RGO, from livestock to wheat, wine to olives, marble, furs, gold, wood, you name it. There are about 53 raw goods in EU5, meaning there's the potential for that many RGOs you'll need to manage. This can be overwhelming for sure, but I have some tips and tricks for you towards the end of the video if you want to find out some ways to manage the madness. Now that we've established what an RGO is, let's break down an RGO. We'll use the Kingdom of Naples as our example, as there are several different RGOs to consider here, giving us legs to explore different goods. Let's take a look at an RGO within a certain location, do olives in Nola. Selecting the location will bring up the usual location stats, where we can then hover over the RGO button to find out more info on the building itself, where we can see 3 sections. The first contains current information like the current level of employment, the RGO level, or how many instances of the building we can create, the output of olives per level, and the profit the building itself makes per level. The next section covers how many laborers, the population type needed for RGOs, there are available on the location, the number of peasants that will be promoted to laborers in the next month, the number of peasants available to be promoted, and based on promotion numbers, how long it would take to be fully employed based on the promotion numbers alone. The last section is the construction costs and the time to build another level. This will give you a great look into the current status of your RGO in that specific location, but it doesn't paint a full picture on its contribution to the country's market as a whole, which should always be taken into consideration. For that, we need to hover over the resource icon on the map itself to bring up info about that specific good. Hovering over the resource icon, we can see the market price, sources for that good. I'll address this in the tips and tricks section. The goods demand, meaning the number of sources that are demanding that good. The transportation costs or the trade capacity in order to trade the good. And lastly, if applicable, the food output. It's important to note that these stats, outside of the goods demands, are base stats for each level of the good. Below that, though, is the most important part that I want to point out, and that is the goods total output, demand, ending balance, and current price for the market in which that good is being viewed in. This gives you a solid idea on any excess or deficit you may be experiencing with any particular good, which directly leads to how and when to use an RGO. There are a few reasons why you might want to use or expand an RGO. First and most obvious would be you have a large demand for it. Taking a look at wheat in Napoli, we can see that there are 8 sources that demand wheat, from hop needs to building maintenance and construction to mills output. Do not confuse these with the buildings below, as that simply lists what building types need wheat for their production methods to produce another type of good. You'll also notice the exact number of this good that we'll need in order to even balance out. Goods like wheat will always be in high demand, so it's a pretty guaranteed good to invest into within the game. Another reason, though it's slightly mentioned just before, is pop needs. You have a population full of different social classes, different cultures and religions, and they all need different goods to be satisfied. If you care about your people, you'll want to cater to their needs, and those needs can always be found at the top notification bar under Pops with Needs, so you can't miss it. This will lay out the most in-demand goods, which can be both raw goods fulfilled by RGOs or what I call refined goods. Another really good reason is for trade. There are raw goods that will always have a high demand outside of your market. Assuming you have the trade capacity to do so, it might be worth expanding an RGO to provide more of that good to export it to other countries for a nice profit. The last reason you'd want to expand an RGO, at least in this video, and deserving of its own section, is goods production and production methods. Nearly every single raw good is used as a baseline good to be used elsewhere. Take wheat, for instance, which can be used in beer production, is necessary to create a stud farm for horses, and is required for fortress granary maintenance. Livestock has loads of uses, from its use for construction, to a tannery for leather, to saltpeter production. And there are even more abstract uses for raw goods, such as medicaments being used in a hospital to increase life expectancy and disease resistance, or wine being used in a theater to increase cultural tradition and reduce unrest. In every case of a raw good being used in these instances, though, there is a production method, which is simply that, a method that either produces a refined good or enhances the performance of a building. Buildings can have multiple types of production methods, although only one can be selected. Looking at the Tailors Guild in Napoli, we could choose between cloth, wool, or silk to produce our fine cloth good, with silk currently being the most lucrative method for production. The game will automate production methods for you, always choosing the most financially responsible one, which is nice to have. However, you can also manually change production methods yourself should you ever choose to do so. With goods and goods production well established at this point, let's dive into some tips and tricks. First, where to build your RGOs and what RGOs to invest in early in the game is essential, but also ultimately up to the playstyle you want to engage in. By default, any location that has enough laborers should be an immediate focus, as you'll receive full production of that RGO as soon as it's built. You can also focus on RGOs that contribute a lot of profit to a fully controlled location. Since their profit directly affects the tax base of a location, you could see ducats fall straight into your pocket. You could also choose to take care of your pop's needs in order to consolidate satisfaction, which in the end boosts your kingdom. Next tip, invest in timber when you can. Timber is one of the most widely used RGOs in the game, used for construction, maintenance, and several production methods. The more timber you have, you'll reduce additional construction costs. You'll decrease the baseline cost to produce refined goods, and even export the excess for some sweet profits. Another tip, just because you don't have a certain RGO in your country doesn't mean you have to import it. There are buildings that can create the same good, just not as an RGO. For instance, wine can be created through a winery, which can use fruit, sugar, or beeswax as production methods. Stone can be created using a stone quarry building, and a fishing village building can produce fish using salt and tools, or salt and ivory. Don't ask me how on the last one, it's just in the game. Lastly, if you're just plain unsure what RGO to invest in, go to your production tab, then goods, then click on that RGO builder. You can mass expand RGO, which will automate the best goods to construct while providing key information into the decision. Or you can filter by things like control or market access, which would help maximize profits. You can also sort by various lists like the availability of laborers or the total profit each level of that RGO would make when fully employed. The RGO Builder is a fantastic tool to help you figure out the best steps forward without clicking through tons of locations to figure it out yourself. And that wraps up this video on Economics 101 in Europa Universalis 5. Thank you so much for watching. As always, your support means everything for the channel, so feel free to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, as well as comment down below for additional guides you would like to see in this similar style of video. A big shout out to our channel members. Your above and beyond support is essential to the channel, so thank you for your contribution. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next one.